The Trump-Zelensky conflict. A geopolitical analysis of the Ukraine scandal. The Trump-Zelensky conflict, which unfolded in 2019, centers on a phone call between US President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. This event, which led to the impeachment of Trump, is not merely a domestic political scandal, but also a reflection of broader geopolitical tensions, particularly involving the United States, Ukraine, and Russia. In July 2019, President Trump called Zelensky, urging him to investigate Joe Biden, his potential political rival in the 2020 US presidential election, and his son, Hunter Biden's business dealings in Ukraine. Trump was alleged to have withheld $391 million in US military aid to Ukraine until Zelensky publicly announced such an investigation. This call and the subsequent whistleblower complaint revealing the contents of it became the focal point of the Ukraine scandal, eventually leading to an impeachment inquiry against Trump. This conflict is set against the backdrop of ongoing tensions between Russia and Ukraine, particularly since Russia's 2014 annexation of Crimea and its support for separatist movements in eastern Ukraine. In response to Russia's actions, Ukraine sought closer ties with the West, especially the US, which had been a key supporter, providing military aid and diplomatic backing to resist Russian aggression. The US commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty was seen as part of the broader Western strategy to counter Russian expansionism in Eastern Europe. However, Trump's approach to Ukraine was inconsistent. While continuing military aid, he often expressed admiration for Russian President Vladimir Putin, questioning the necessity of US involvement in global conflicts. His reluctance to criticize Russia, combined with efforts to leverage US support for personal political gain, raised concerns about the United States' commitment to its Eastern European allies. The impeachment inquiry brought to light the potential abuse of presidential power. The core issue was whether Trump used US foreign policy as leverage for his personal political agenda, which could potentially undermine the integrity of US diplomacy. By conditioning military aid to Ukraine on an investigation into Biden, Trump blurred the lines between US national interests and his personal political ambitions. The impeachment process itself exposed a deepening partisan divide within the United States. Republicans largely defended Trump, arguing that there was no quid pro quo in the conversation, while Democrats maintained that Trump's actions were a clear abuse of power. Ultimately, Trump was acquitted by the Senate, but the episode highlighted the potential for foreign policy to be distorted for partisan purposes, a practice that could weaken democratic institutions and destabilize international alliances. The scandal placed Ukraine in a difficult position. As a nation under siege from Russia, Ukraine had long relied on US military aid and diplomatic support. Zelensky, a political newcomer, was thrust into a situation where he had to balance maintaining Ukraine's sovereignty while also navigating the political demands of the US, a critical ally. The pressure to comply with Trump's request threatened to compromise Ukraine's autonomy and position in the ongoing geopolitical struggle with Russia. Moreover, the scandal exposed the vulnerability of smaller nations caught between great powers. Ukraine's need for US support was vital, but the conflict illustrated the risk of being drawn into foreign political disputes that could undermine national interests. The global implications were significant. NATO allies and European countries who viewed Russia as a threat expressed concern over the potential erosion of US commitment to counter Russian influence in Eastern Europe. The scandal raised alarms about the reliability of US foreign policy, with some fearing that Trump's actions signaled a retreat from the West's traditional role as a counterbalance to Russian aggression. For Russia, the Trump-Zelensky conflict presented an opportunity to deepen divisions within the West and further destabilize Ukraine. Moscow's long-standing goal of weakening Ukraine's ties to the West was aided by the US domestic political crisis, which distracted from the ongoing conflict in eastern Ukraine. The Trump-Zelensky conflict is more than just a political scandal. It encapsulates the complex intersection of domestic politics and international relations. At its core, it reveals the risk of allowing personal political motives to shape foreign policy, undermining the integrity of US diplomacy. The scandal exposed the precarious position of small nations like Ukraine, which in their struggle for sovereignty are caught between competing great powers. Ultimately, the episode served as a stark reminder of how geopolitical strategies can be influenced by domestic political realities, with consequences for global stability and diplomatic relations. This message was brought to you by DMJ Ononuju Obiaga and co-analysts. Like, share, and comment our videos. Thank you.